And here we go. It is Flyers game day. There's Brian Smith in the home studio. Yours truly in the home studio. Watching on MSG, Bri,
Mm-hmm.
a pregame show on our video cast feed.
Yeah.
And Marty Biron's one of the panelists, as always. He shaved his head.
Yeah. He's been a little bit closer cut, hasn't he?
Yeah, not quite as like not down to the skin like me. He's got hair, but it's like a crew cut, a buzz cut.
Yeah. Summer cut, off season's ahead,
Wow. He looks like a serial killer.
A little bit.
Got those eyes, those crazy eyes.
He's always had that really, unusual set of blue eyes, hadn't he?
Oh my God, they're like piercing.
Yeah, I mean, even back when he was playing, he would wear a mask. It was like, it was always a little bit strange. It's lack of a better word.
Here he is. Like, look at it. Okay, let me remove the thing. You can kind of see him there on the right, and he looks a little like almost psychotic in a way.
Yeah,
he would probably be the nicest serial killer in the world.
Oh, absolutely, yeah. Yeah, I mean, Rob Ray is much more of a dangerous individual than Marty Biron is. That's for sure.
Yeah, no doubt. So it's the Flyers and the Sabres tonight for the first of two back-to-back. The old school traditional home-and-home back-to-back as well. In Buffalo tonight, back home tomorrow night.
Yeah, it's it's a strange weekend for it. We don't normally have back-to-backs on Easter weekend. But that's just the way the schedule shook out this year. You used to see these fairly often when you were playing teams, more often a year than they do now. Now it's only, especially like a team outside your division, you only play them 3 times a year. Well, 2 of them are this weekend. So it's a little bit more rare with the way the schedule's set up these days.
The thing about it, too, is this is going to be like a pot shot, but Buffalo's not used to playing on the 16th of April. You know what I mean?
No, yeah, exactly.
Unfortunately, we're not used to that as of late either after a couple of years.
Used to be a lot more used to it than we are right now.
Right?
Yeah. I mean, I don't have Buffalo's history in front of me, but I'm wondering if one of the last times they were playing this time of year wasn't, back when the Flyers knocked them out in the first round back in 2011.
I bet you it is.
It might be.
It's been over 10 years. It's been 11 years.
So, that might be the one. Obviously everybody played a little bit later, last year. We were playing into May last year, and
good point.
The lockout years and stuff. But it's a 82-game season. It's rare to be going this time of year.
Yeah, last time was in 2011. They lost in the first round to the Flyers.
And that was a 6-game series, or did that go all 7? I think it went all 7, didn't it? It was supposed to be easier than it was for the Flyers.
Yeah.
They were Atlantic Division champions that year, and of course, just coming off the Cup run, and everybody thought they were going to have a lot easier time with the Sabres than they did that year.
The big thing that happened in Buffalo this year was obviously the trade of Jack Eichel. It was kind of hanging over the team for a long period of time, and they finally get the deal done, and they get a move made, and they're actually playing a bit better of late, and there's hope in Buffalo. They had a 10-game win streak a couple of years ago. Remember that?
Right. Yeah, I mean, this team has been adding pieces slowly over the years, and it's unfortunate for them that that this whole thing happened with Eichel, that he's off doing this thing now in Vegas instead of just getting that surgery done and being up to his normal tricks in Buffalo where he should be. But they've been able to add other pieces over the years that they've had come their way, because obviously they have not been the greatest of teams, but they after that was over, and I don't remember exactly when that trade went down, but
November 4th.
Okay, so it was further back than I thought then. Going into the trade deadline, they had lost 6 games in a row, but since then they went on a run where they had a point in something like 12 of 15 games or something like that in March and April, and just have cooled off a little bit as of late. But they had a really tough road trip. They had to go down, play Carolina, Florida, and Tampa back to back, and that didn't work out so well for them.
Well, I mean, since the 10th of March, that is 18 games. They have a record of 9-6-3.
Okay.
They've still given up more goals than they've gotten, but an over 500 hockey record, basically 500 we won or we lost.
Yeah.
But they may be moving in the right direction. They got Peyton Krebs. They also, Justin Tuck in that deal. They lost the best player in the deal. And a lot of times you would go, well, anytime you trade the best player in a package deal like that, you probably lose the trade. But this could be one where both sides win.
Yeah, absolutely. It's every now and then you just need a change of scenery, and I think that's been illustrated very well with in Flyers land with the Atkinson and Voracek trade. Both both those players had, for whatever reason, just kind of grown stale where they were, and for Atkinson, I think it was a lot more of a surprise move than I think it was for Voracek. I think Voracek had seen the writing on the wall, and he had he has a family here and all that stuff, and so that was a little bit of a change. But he certainly wasn't as entrenched in the Philadelphia community as Cam Atkinson was in Columbus. So, but on the ice, it's worked out well for both teams. Unfortunately, neither of them are in the playoff hunt. But Atkinson has been one of the bright spots this year for the Flyers until he got hurt, unfortunately. But he's shown what he can contribute to the team, and hopefully next year they'll have a little bit more contributing around him.
Yeah, speaking of the playoffs, the 8 teams are set. They're all but one has confirmed their ticket to the NHL postseason. The only one that hasn't is wild card 2. That's Washington right now with 92 points. They're going to clinch that any day now because the Islanders only have 79 points and they've each played 74 games. So it's not mathematically done. It will be mathematically done here very soon. But the matchups like right now are incredibly intriguing. And Boston's a wild card team right now, but they're only a point back of Tampa. But Tampa's got a game in hand. You look at the Carolina Hurricanes as the top spot in the Metro, but the Rangers are right there. They just played one more game. So they're tied in points at 104. I mean, you could be looking at a Carolina Boston matchup or a Carolina Tampa matchup if Tampa slides into that wild card, and then a Florida Washington matchup and a Ranger Penguin matchup. And then it would be, I guess, Toronto would take on either Boston or Tampa. A lot of good teams are going home in the first round. That's basically what I'm saying.
Yeah, absolutely. You've got the top 8 right now separated by, well, I guess Florida's kind of running away with it. So let's bounce back to the top 7. You got 7 teams separated by 12 points. And Washington is probably better than a 92-point team. They've actually got a better goal differential than Boston does, even though they're 5 points back of Boston. So it's it's going to be a terrific first round. It doesn't, no matter what things shake out as far as who plays who. But again, like you said, because of the way the divisions are set up, you're going to see you're going to see a 100-point team not make it out of the first round.
Several.
Because, that just because most actually you're going to see that because there's going to be so many over 100 points. I would like to go back and see if I can figure out when the last time was that a conference had, looks like it's going to be 7 of the 8 teams over 100 points. I mean, that's crazy.
That's bananas, right?
And Washington being at 92 with looks like they've got 8 games left, so they could get close to 100 point. We were talking about this back when the Flyers were, still plodding along, and we were kind of saying, all right, they're not going to get in the playoffs because you got to get to 95 points to get in the playoffs. And we were thinking back then that this might be the year the 100-point team missed the playoffs. But as you hear that music, hang on a minute. Does that get rid of that?
Yeah. Well, I look back at the 2018-19 season. Tampa had 128 in the Eastern Conference, led the way in the entire NHL.
Yeah.
Got knocked out in the first round. But Boston 107, Toronto 100, Washington 104, Islanders 103, Penguins 100. Top 6 teams in the East that year.
Wow.
Had 100. Only 3 in the West, but it's pretty crazy how this is going to play out. I can't wait to watch. And lottery night I think is coming up on May 16th. I want to say.
Yeah, did they set a date for that? I wasn't even sure.
I believe they did.
Late. But they couldn't be waiting a little bit.
Don't they usually do it in the first round?
Yeah, they usually do it.
All right, that might have been last year's
the
date.
Regular season ends.
That might have been last year's date.
Yeah, they usually what they'll do is they'll one of those that usually so the playoff the season normally ends on a Saturday. This year I think we have one game bleeding over into Sunday because of that blizzard that hit Winnipeg last week.
Yeah.
And so usually what they'll do is the season ends Saturday, playoffs will start Wednesday, and then sometime in there, Wednesday, Thursday, Friday, one of those first 3 days, they'll usually do the lottery ahead of the 7 o'clock games. Like they'll do it, on TV and stuff.
Mm-hmm.
So that's what I'm expecting, is that sometime in that week there. But
I don't think they've announced it yet because they don't know what the playoff
right,
schedule is yet.
yeah, exactly. They
So
don't
as soon as
know.
we get that, we'll get it.
Yeah, they don't
But
know.
it'll happen in the first round.
Yeah, it should be early in the first round, to be honest with you.
Yeah, they usually do. You're right. They usually do it in the first round when the most amount of markets are invested.
Right.
So we'll find out the fate of the Flyers pick at that time, but it's the Flyers and the Sabres tonight. Sabres going to be going with Craig Anderson in that tonight, who is darn near as old as me. He's 40. He's only a decade younger.
I'm looking at their notes today, and I see that Craig Anderson and Dustin Tokarski are the goaltenders, and I glance at my computer. I'm like, what year is it again?
Yeah.
It is 2022, right?
Yeah, he's going to be 41, Bri, on May 21st.
And Tokarski's 32.
Yeah.
Like, he's no spring chicken.
Yeah, this is the 60-plus-year-old goalie tandem.
Yep.
But Anderson's actually been decent for him. I mean, he's got a record this season in 29 games of 15, 12, and 2 with the save percentage isn't great, 897, but a 3.16 goals against there. But the record is good. So he's gotten some run support, apparently.
Yeah. He's he's a guy that I think that players like to play in front of. He's well liked in the room. I think that's kind of why he is lasted as long as he did. He's a Masterton Trophy winner. He's had a lot of a lot of stuff that he's had to overcome over the course of his career. Not even just himself, but his wife.
Yeah,
was fighting throat cancer for a while, and he was trying to get Ottawa, to the Stanley Cup final while that was all going on. So he's been through some stuff, and the guys like playing in front of him, so you can bet that that's got something to do with it.
Yeah, and from indications, it looks like he may want to come back again next year. So I say all the power to him.
He's a guy that he's obviously never played for the Flyers, and he actually has a pretty good career record against the Flyers. But when his wife was going through that cancer treatment, the Flyers helped get him into some doctors in Philadelphia, and so there's always been a link there. All over these past couple of years, when the Flyers have been trying to figure out their backup goaltending situation from year to year, there's always been a thought of, is he going to come here? But he might be a little bit beyond what they're looking for in terms of a backup goaltender. But you never know.
Yeah. If I asked you who the leading scorer is on the Buffalo Sabres right now, would you be able to answer that question?
Probably not.
Tage Thompson.
It's not Jack Eichel.
Yeah, it's not Jack Eichel, because obviously he didn't even play for him this year. So you've got 0 stats for the Sabres.
Yeah, I mean,
but it's
I know
Tage
Sabres.
Thompson.
I know 2 Sabres off the top of my head, which is Jack Eichel and Matthias Samuelsson, because we work with his sister.
Yeah. And of course, Shell Samuelson's son.
And Jeff Skinner is there now.
But Tage Thompson is 6'7", 218 pounds. He was a first-round pick in the 2016 draft. 6'7", right, at forward. And he's got 33 goals, 27 assists, and 60 points. I mean, that's a big man moving up the ice. Holy.
It is. It is. Looking at the numbers you're looking at now, it is a little interesting to me. If he's 6'7", he only has 58 hits on the year. He plays like Travis Konechny's got more hits. He plays like a smaller forward, but you see that coming down the ice, and I'm sure that you're thinking it's going to be kind of difficult to deal with.
I'll tell you what, it's kind of odd too, because he's actually from Phoenix, Arizona. Imagine Tage Thompson and Austin Matthews. They must have been mopping up those Arizona rec leagues.
Well, that was, and again, they're probably a product. We've talked about this recently of, about how these teams showing up in places like Arizona, just started youth hockey boom there. And, I bet those 2 guys were just plowing through the travel teams there, whatever they have down there in terms of travel. I mean, it's, I would imagine your traveling hockey down there is real travel hockey. It's not like what we've got up here, where you got to drive a couple hours,
like travel north.
Yeah. They're probably going to Denver 10 times a year or something like that.
Your closest away game is like 480 miles north, due north. Yeah. A lot of gas on that and that hockey travels and exploits as a youngster. But he is their leading scorer. You mentioned Jeff Skinner. He's actually having a pretty good year. You know, Jeff Skinner signed that huge contract with Buffalo. He's got 31 this year. Good bounce back year for Jeff Skinner.
Yeah, he was. I mean, to put in a word, awful last year. I mean, it was just not a good season for him. You know, he had that he's got that big contract, and you know, you can bet that it was probably weighing on him a little bit. I mean, you know, even the year before that, in the shortened year, that wasn't a great year for him. He only had 14 goals that year, but then last year he only had 7. Like, it was just astonishing. But he is now, you know, getting back to the numbers he had in, you know, his Carolina years, and you know, and that brought Buffalo to give him that contract. You know, he had the first 40 goal year with Buffalo the last full season we played, but then fell off after that. But yeah, this has been a good bounce back year for him, and it's good to see, because you don't want to see a guy like him, you know, sitting there trying to figure out where his game went. And, you know, it's not good for anybody. It's not good for the game. It's not good for the Sabres. Obviously not good for him. So,
yeah. The Flyers lines tonight, I wish I could say that Calvary was coming, and, you know, a lot of players are coming back, just not the case. The Flyers forward lines tonight: Kevin Hayes centering James Van Riemsdyk and Owen Tippett. Scott Lawton centering Oscar Lindblom and Travis Konechny. Morgan Frost centering Joel Farabee and Bobby Brink. And Nate Thompson returns centering Noah Cates and Zach McEwen. So those are your forward lines tonight.
Yeah, the Flyers actually really, to be honest with you, the biggest addition back to that lineup is Thompson, because he can go in there and take some face-offs in the bottom 6, which they don't have Patrick Brown to do that. You know, so that is
gone for the season.
Yeah, that's huge that he's able to come back and do that, because you know, if you if you don't have him, you know, you're probably, I don't know what you're looking at. If you're looking at Farabee taking some of those draws, or, you know, who's the next man up there, I'm not sure. But there does seem to be a 50-50 shot at getting Cam Atkinson back tomorrow. We'll see how that goes, obviously. But yeah, it's starting to look like a lineup from the middle of the season, with the exception of a couple of new names on the docket.
Well, Felix Sandstrom played last night and was recalled again today under emergency conditions. And it looks like he's the backup tonight, but it looks like he'll play tomorrow at Wells Fargo Center against the Sabres. It'll be Martin Jones tonight. But as soon as we join our radio audience, I want to talk about the D pairing. So we'll kind of hold off on that. Yeah. I think there's a really interesting pairing in here that I want to talk about. We're going to join our radio audience in just, I think, a minute or so. So let me see. What time did Pat say?
He said 52-ish.
Okay, yeah. So
but you know, that's good for Sandstrom. I mean, he it's the kind of crap he does all year, playing. These guys play 3-3 and all this stuff. So I don't think he'll miss a beat tomorrow, having played last night. And then it's not that much of a haul from Allentown to Buffalo. I don't know how they got him there, but you know, I'm sure it wasn't a terrible.
Rode his bike with his equipment.
I don't know what you would rather do in that situation from Allentown: try to fly to Buffalo, or just get a car.
Yeah, get him a car service. Let him sleep in the back of a town car.
Yeah. But you know, he's used to that sort of stuff, so you know, he'll be good to go tomorrow. And hopefully, a little bit of a better outing against a team that's not like the New York Rangers like the other night.
Yeah, and you're facing the Rangers the other night with him and such a depleted defensive core in front of you. I mean, it was incredible, and it's going to be equally depleted tonight. We're going to join our radio audience here on 93.3 WMMR. I don't know who that was on the air there just now, but we'll say it was the Spitfires on MMR. Just making up names now. The Windsor Spitfires from Windsor, Ontario.
Yes.
All right, here we go. And welcome to Philadelphia Flyers hockey. This is the Flyers and the Sabres. 8 games to go, 13 days, and it's the Flyers and the Sabres for 2. 1 tonight, 1 tomorrow. Tonight in Buffalo, tomorrow at Wells Fargo Center as the season winds to its conclusion. Brian Smith, Jason Martinez, Flyers Game Day. And, Bri, Still, even with these 8 games left, still an opportunity for a lot of young players. I talked to Bobby Brink yesterday and was on today's Flyers Daily, and he's using all these games to gain as much knowledge as he can about what it takes to succeed at the NHL level.
Yeah, that's what you do. That's and again, we've discussed this ad nauseum, and well, everybody would rather see the Flyers in a playoff race right now or preparing for a playoff run. The silver lining to the cloud that's been over this team for the entire season is that guys like Bobby Brink can come out and do that, and it doesn't affect anything. It doesn't matter if Bobby Brink goes out tonight and is a -6. It just it's all a learning experience.
Martin Jones would prefer that he didn't.
Martin Jones would prefer that not happen. Yes, but in the grand scheme of things for him and for Noah Cates and these other young guys in the lineup, they can go out there and not have to worry about screwing up and affecting anything. They can play a little bit more freely and yes, like you said, they're gonna have the firsthand knowledge of what they do out there on the ice, and then they're gonna have 8 games worth of video to look at all summer long and prepare a little bit better for what's coming next season.
And Brink rather will play on the wing with Morgan Frost and Joel Farabee. It's kind of like a futures line. Like get your money in on the futures with those 3, right?
Yeah, I mean that's where that's hopefully where the team is going. I mean we keep seeing Joel Farabee take these big hops. He hasn't taken probably as big a one this season as he would have if the team had been a contender, but he's definitely looked more sure of himself out there this year, and he is going to be definitely top 6 guy now for the Flyers, especially with Claude Giroux having moved on and some of the other veterans that are now out of here. He's going to be really relied on for the future.
Yeah, his season's been disrupted by a couple of freakish injuries where he lost his edge or got, went into the boards kind of weird for Farabee. And it's kind of cost him a little bit of rhythm to the season, I think. But he's a guy that, we can see the craftiness of his play. 55 games played, 16 goals, 17 assists, 33 points for Joel Farabee. Let's look at these D pairs because we were talking about it on the streaming show. And tonight, the D pairs, the third pairing is going to be Keith Yandel along with Ronnie Attard. The second pairing is going to be Travis Sanheim along with Kevin Connaughton. Rasmus Ristolainen not drawing back into the lineup just yet, maybe tomorrow or a couple days for Ristolainen. But it is Provorov and Zamula. I know that Ristolainen would have loved to play against Buffalo.
Oh, yeah, absolutely.
Maybe he's just avoiding going back to Buffalo for fear he may have to stay. But we'll maybe see him here coming up in the next couple of days.
California, right?
Yes. But Provorov and Zamula on the top pair. And talking about guys getting an opportunity, I know Zamula has looked up to Ivan Provorov for a long time, countryman, and he's going to get to play alongside him. He's called it a dream come true.
Yeah. It's it's really interesting to see this kind of materialize before your eyes. To a lot of us, Provorov is still, kind of the young defenseman, but because the last 2 years especially have been such a blur, you don't realize that. Yeah, he's been in this. This is his 6th NHL season. He is now, coming into his veteran core here, and you're starting to see guys like Zamula who, again. Not that much younger than him, but definitely have been looking up to him. And Zamula's been hanging around this team a whole lot since the 2020 bubble started because he was in the bubble. So he has been, he got to go through that whole experience, and I'm sure that he has been watching Provorov quite a bit. And yeah, it's going to be very interesting to see how he performs out there with him tonight.
He's got 4 NHL games under his belt. Does Zamula. He played 25 or 57 so far this year with the Phantoms, 4 goals, 25 assists, good amount of assists, 29 points. And he's a guy long, but needs to add more muscle to that frame. I mean, 6'3", but could you imagine weighing 177? Could you imagine being 6'3" and weighing 177?
No.
He's got to put on weight. He's got to put on muscle. But I mean, he had an illness this year that cost him another 12 or 15 pounds at one point, but he knows that's the task at hand. He said he's going to be in the weight room all summer.
That's the plan. Coatsy has offered to take him to any bar he wants, and
empty calories.
He'll do it the old-fashioned way, I guess.
Yeah.
But no, it's just part of the maturation process. I mean, again, this kid's he just turned 22, like 2 weeks ago. So he's still growing into his frame. And if he can get in there and even add 10 pounds, just to start, it's going to make his life a lot easier at the NHL level. You've seen glimpses here in the American Hockey League of what he can do. We've seen what he can do at the junior level when he was in the Western Hockey League against guys more his size. So it's just got to catch up to who's already there. And he should be, really another promising piece of this team moving forward.
Yeah, big body on the blue line, and played those 3 seasons for the Calgary Hitmen of the WHL, and he shares a birthday with yours truly, only a lot less years than yours truly. That's for sure. But so it's going to be the Flyers and the Sabres today and tomorrow. And again, it'll be Martin Jones tonight versus the Sage veteran of Craig Anderson. He'll be in that number 41 at 40 years of age. And we'll look like probably see Felix Sandstrom coming up tomorrow at Wells Fargo Center. But a final 8 games here for the Flyers to kind of see what else they can dial in, see what else, they can kind of find, maybe find some chemistry and some combinations. We'll see how that goes tonight as well. But stay tuned, because Tim Saunders and Steve Coates, they are in beautiful Buffalo, said no one ever. And they will bring you the countdown. Yeah, it's true. Good point. They will bring you the countdown to face off and all the first period action as the Flyers take on the Sabres right after this. You've been listening to Flyers Game Day on the BetRivers.com Flyers Broadcast Network.